for creepy true alone in the woods, horror stories. Story: One night vision nightmare. I thought it would be fun, just me, alone in the woods, testing my brother's night vision goggles. But within minutes, I realized I wasn't alone, and someone was watching me. It was the summer before my senior year in college. My younger brother, obsessed with military gear, had just received a pair of night vision goggles for his birthday and left them at my apartment. Bored and curious, I decided to test them in a nearby nature preserve. I knew these woods well. I had hiked here before with my best friend and never felt unsafe. But that night, everything felt different. The park was mostly dark, lit only by a half moon. I carried a tiny keychain flashlight, planning to put on the goggles once I found a safe spot. Rustling sounds echoed in the distance, but I told myself it was just wildlife. Soon, I found a fallen log and put on the goggles. Night vision turned near pitch darkness into eerie, bright green clarity. I watched chipmunks scurry, an owl blink at me with glowing eyes, and felt a strange thrill. I moved deeper, climbing a huge tree for a better vantage point. That's when I saw him, a man, dressed head to toe in black, moving silently through the woods. At first, I thought he was another hiker, until I saw the knife. A massive, glinting knife in his hand. My heart froze. I was alone, unarmed, and completely exposed. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. He scanned the woods methodically, as if hunting, maybe even looking for me. Then, I remembered the white car that had followed me earlier that day. Could it have been him? He paused directly under my tree. I held my breath, gripping my pepper spray, waiting for the worst. But after a tense moment, he muttered, "Screw it," and walked back toward the parking lot. I stayed in the tree until the first light of dawn. When I finally climbed down, trembling, I found my car vandalized, windshield shattered, sides scratched. I had survived thanks to the goggles and a bit of luck. Even now, I can't forget the way his glowing eyes disappeared into the shadows. Story 2: The Shotgun Stalker. We thought it would be a peaceful backpacking trip in the Adirondacks, until a man with a shotgun came straight for our tent. My friend and I were experienced hikers, venturing 5 miles into New York's Adirondack Mountains. We found a quiet lake, set up camp on a small beach, and felt miles away from civilization. The first night was calm. The fire crackled, the water lapped gently, and the stars were bright. We thought we were completely safe. We were wrong. Around 10:30 p.m., a light flickered across the lake. At first, we assumed it was another camper or maybe a boater, but the flashlight kept moving, drawing closer in a slow, deliberate circle. I whispered to my friend, "That's coming straight for us." We slipped quietly into the woods, hearts pounding. I gripped a small axe, while my friend held a .22 rifle, tense but silent. Then he appeared. A burly man, mid-40s beard, covering most of his face, carrying a pump-action shotgun. He circled our camp with terrifying purpose, then entered our tent. I could barely breathe as he rifled through our belongings, tossing clothes to the side. Panic spiked when he lit some of our clothes on fire, flames dancing dangerously close. Every instinct screamed at us to fight, but my friend steadied the rifle, and I urged caution. Don't shoot unless he tries to hurt us. Minutes felt like hours, and then he wandered off. Shaking, we ran to our car in the pre-dawn hours. Adrenaline still surging, we reported the incident to police and forest rangers, but we never heard if he was caught. That night left a mark. We'll never forget the memory of a man with a shotgun, stalking silently in the dark, close enough to touch. Story 3: Mountain Man. I thought he was just a strange customer, until I realized he had planned to trap me that night. It was the summer of 2012, and I was 17, working at a small rural camping store in Western Virginia. Life was simple: quiet, until him. He was massive 6'5", 280 pounds, looking like a rugged hermit straight out of the mountains. At first, I dismissed his comments as awkward attempts at flirting. But over time, the remarks became more sinister. He would make explicit comments about wanting a wife, and even about my physical appearance. I told my boss, hoping he'd stop coming, but it didn't. He kept returning, loitering near the store, staring, always watching. One evening, after closing the store, I walked to my car, feeling the normal evening calm settle in. But that calm shattered when I saw his blue pickup parked just a few spaces away. My stomach tightened. Something felt wrong. I slid into my car, turned the key and nothing. The engine refused to start. Panic clawed at me as I saw him approaching, banging on my window. His voice was low, demanding, "Get out." I locked the doors, heart hammering, and called 911. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but the car wouldn't cooperate. Outside, the shadows of the empty parking lot stretched long and menacing under the dim lights. I crouched in the driver's seat, holding my phone tightly. My mind raced through every horror story I'd ever heard. He tried the door locked. He circled, pounding and shouting, his massive frame looming like a dark storm. Then, salvation. 2 resort guests arrived just in time, armed with a shotgun. The man froze, stepped back, and vanished into the night. By the time the police arrived, he was gone, but the terror lingered. Later, I learned he had serious mental health issues and a chilling plan to abduct me, which included sabotaging my car. Had those strangers not arrived when they did, I don't want to imagine what could have happened. That night left a mark. I'll never forget the cold realization that someone could plan everything, right down to trapping me, and still be hiding in plain sight. Story 4: Alone in the Woods. I thought I was completely alone in the woods, until the night I realized someone had been living out there, watching me, waiting for me. And that night nearly became my last. It was the summer of 2016. I was 19, working with my cousin at a remote wildlife research cabin, deep in the woods of Northern Virginia. The cabin was small, isolated, and surrounded by miles of nothing but thick trees and dirt trails. We spent our days recording wildlife data and checking motion sensors placed throughout the forest. At first, everything felt peaceful. But after a few weeks, small things started to bother me. Large barefoot footprints near the cabin, branches broken at shoulder height, like someone tall had walked through. And sometimes, at dusk, I swore I saw a shadow moving between the trees, just standing still, watching. I told my cousin, but she brushed it off. Probably a deer, she said, but I knew it wasn't a deer. One evening, my cousin left to pick up supplies from town. For the first time in weeks, I was completely alone in the woods. Night came fast. The forest grew silent to silent. At around 10 p.m., I was boiling water for tea, when something caught my eye at the window. A shape, a tall, unmoving shape, standing near the tree line. I turned off the cabin lights, letting the darkness swallow the room. When I peeked through the curtains, my blood ran cold. A man, filthy, tall, barefoot, stood only a few yards from the cabin. His clothes were torn, his skin pale, and in his hand he held a rusted axe. He wasn't walking, he wasn't talking. He was staring directly at the cabin, as if deciding the best way in. My hands trembled so badly I could barely breathe. I silently unlocked the back door and slipped outside. The forest air hit me like ice. The moment I stepped onto the trail, I heard it. Someone was following me, I didn't dare look back. I just ran. My flashlight beam shook wildly over roots and rocks. I could hear him breathing behind me. Heavy, slow, like he enjoyed the chase. The woods felt endless. Every tree looked like a place he could hide. Then my foot slipped on a wet root I crashed to the ground, scraping my knee. Pain shot up my leg. I could hear his footsteps getting closer. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Then, through the faint moonlight, I saw him emerging from the darkness. His face was smeared with white paint, his eyes bloodshot, and worst of all, he was smiling. A stretched, unnatural smile, like he had already decided I belonged to him. I scrambled backward, my palms bleeding, trying to crawl away. He didn't run, he simply walked. Slowly, like he knew I couldn't outrun him. Then, just as he stepped toward me, something cut through the night. A loud truck horn, echoing across the woods. Searchlights swept through the trees. Forest rangers, the moment he saw the lights. The man froze, then turned, and slipped into the trees, with an inhuman silence. By the time the rangers reached me, I was shaking, crying, barely able to speak. The next morning, rangers searched the forest and found something hidden deep in the woods. A makeshift shelter built from branches and mud. Inside were old women's clothing, empty cans, and a notebook. On one page, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "She comes outside alone, at night. Soon she will be mine." Police later said a mentally unstable hermit had gone missing from 2 counties, over someone who had been surviving alone in the woods for months. If the ranger's truck hadn't passed through that trail at that exact moment, I wouldn't be here to tell the story. Even now, when I walk through the woods at night, I swear I can still feel someone watching from between the trees, waiting.